goodness. Big move Monday. Look out. A way to end the tournament.
So what's happening, people? Welcome back to the Quad Pod, sponsored by Adidas Wrestling and Poseidon Strength. Happy to be back with these gentlemen, Robbie, Austin, Kevin. I'm Holmes, just in case you guys forgot. But we're going to be here every single week. Yeah, just in case you want to call me Wilkes Guy. That's why I actually wore half of my name today, so that, people can actually, if you want to talk a little shit, you can actually use my name, since my t-shirt is how people love to designate who I am.
This is Ryan, though, not Larry.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Hands not as deadly. Not as deadly. Not even close. And my belt is it's a lot smaller. The WBC replica belt that I have, it's a lot tinier. It's somewhere in here in this room. But no, good to be back. Good to be talking with these gentlemen. We've got some really cool stuff to get to. Obviously today, as we're recording this on Monday, you guys are listening to this on Tuesday. We had Vito's wrestling match. So now the men's Vito versus Jax Forrest, I should say. Vito versus Jax Forrest happened today. So now the men's team is complete. We had a couple other things happen throughout the previous week. We'll talk about USA versus Russia. We're going to dig into this singlet conversation, because there's been a lot of people that have been talking about traditional singlets and which singlets are better, whatever. But we'll get into a lot of really good stuff today. But before we start, we got to wish Robbie a happy birthday. He probably hates that, but it is Robbie's birthday, so happy birthday to Robbie. We're not going to sing to him or anything. We're not bringing any cakes or anything like that, but we are going to wish that man a happy birthday, because he does a great job getting us info, as well as bringing his hot takes and his curse words on this show. But let's start. Let's do our weigh in first. And my weigh in isn't a good one. Normally I'm trying to give some props to someone. This time I can't let this one go by, and it's USA Wrestling's bracketing system.
That's fucking garbage.
We've talked about it before, so this isn't the first time that I've talked about it, but you would think that with each event it would get better, but it doesn't. And they basically just pulled redundancy from the jaws of life and tried to create something new, so that everybody had to go to them for match updates and whatever else, when it was basically like a, if it's not broken, don't fix it kind of a issue, I guess. We have Track Wrestling, we have Flow, both of those, regardless how you feel about those. I mean, I understand that Track Wrestling's software is maybe a little antiquated, it's a little slow, sometimes it logs you out, whatever else, but it is pretty reliable. The Flow one, I was literally with Flow when it was created and did some of the testing on it when our engineers created that, and it was kind of cool. People didn't really like the sliding brackets or anything else, but as time went on, it became more and more reliable, being able to get updates and get text messages and stuff. It worked. And it served its purpose, right? And you were able to click in right to watching the matches from the brackets and everything else. Now you're not getting you're getting the results, you're getting the brackets, you're getting the stuff that you need, but it's way harder than what it needs to be. And it's like, how can we consider ourselves how can we kind of fix our mouths to even say that we deserve top bidding and prime time match times and event times, but like we can't even get our results stuff fixed? Like that's like 101. So again, I know we've been down this road before, but with Fargo going on right now, and things happening at one of the biggest tournaments of the year, you need reliable software. You need to be able to look up brackets. You need to be able to see when some of these top kids are coming up, because these brackets are enormous, and you need to have a bracketing software that you can rely on. So seen a lot of rants about these different things, and Bosch said something about, Flow should have stream that just shows like the top kids and whatever else. They obviously used to have that and called it Flow Zone, but I think that people didn't use that as much because you could pick and choose the matches that you want on Flow to be in a grid. Now with the bracket software being what it is, I feel like that should be brought back, because Flowzone would serve its purpose now that they don't have that capability of having push notifications and everything else for our biggest event. So, again, probably not the best way to start off the show, but damn, like we deserve better. I mean, not for nothing, we had better with Flow and Track when they were running bracketing software. Um, but even, when we were in previous shows, when we were trying to look up stuff from the trials and the open, it was really hard to get to. And then you would click results and you get like a list of results, and it's just not even conducive to how you want to look things up. It makes it way harder. So do you want us to report on things or don't you? Right. And obviously, for people that have paid attention to Willie's rant, talked about how he couldn't get the list of rosters and stuff like that from different states. So it just goes into that even more of, if you want wrestling media to promote these things, which we'll obviously get into when we talk USA Russia. But if you want wrestling media to promote these things, give us reliable software and reliable ways to do it. So that is my thought. Over to Robbie, let you kind of take it away, birthday boy.
Yeah, but you hit it nail on the head. That bracketing software is hot garbage, and trying to go through, such a huge event like Fargo, trying to track anybody is difficult when you have like 256-person brackets. It's insane. Like that's hard to do on a good program, let alone a shit program.
Yeah.
But on the note of Fargo, just want to give a shout out to all the college coaches who make the trek out there, not only for recruiting, but to help out and give back to their state teams and help out with coaching. I know a lot of guys who still do that, even if they don't coach in the state that they are coaching for. They still get back to their home states and help them out. So I think that's a really cool feature about our sport, is that D1 coaches, D2, D3, NAIA coaches all making the trek out there to help out the next generation of wrestlers. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember like years ago when I saw college coaches coaching some of their state teams, and there were some people that had an issue with it because they're like, isn't that like illegal recruiting, whatever. And it's just like, this is what it is, guys. Like, they're giving back to their state and their other position. While there may be some overlap, whatever, they're giving back to the state. So is what it is. Austin, on to you.
Quick shout out to the U20 team. Just had Pan Am's this past weekend in, I think it was Peru. Pretty successful weekend, I think. Women won 6 golds, 2 silver, and 2 bronzes. Greco-Roman had 5 golds. They had a silver and a bronze, a few DNPs, and boys freestyle, obviously, as we expected, as you usually do, dominated 8 out of 10 golds in 10 weight classes. The other 2 were bronze. Luke Stanich, Lehigh wrestler, won the Golden Boot Award, which seems like a soccer player MVP award, but it's not. They give that out in wrestling, I guess. Don't know why it's not the Golden Singlet or something cool like that, wrestling related, but maybe they call them boots in other countries and we're just ignorant Americans. I don't know, but congrats.
I forget why. I remember asking that a couple years ago, but
yeah, I'm sure there's a reason behind it, but just sounds silly coming from, we don't really call them boots or anything around here. So yeah, that's my quick weigh in. Luke Stanich killing it for Lehigh. Gonna be a beast here this year.
Just take home Das Boot.
One of those non-US golds was won by Cade Brown, a pit wrestler for Canada. So 9 of them are coming back to the States, just one of them slightly north of the border.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Every year they always kind of clean up men's freestyle. I mean, all the teams usually kind of clean up at Pan Am's and do really well. So I guess no surprise, but it's really awesome to see how they continue to do well year after year. Kevin.
Just one more note on that. It's always funny when you watch some of the clips and it's like some dude who should not be out there against some kid who's like getting recruited to Oklahoma State and just takes him apart limb from limb. Anyway, yeah, shout out to my dude, Matt Stencil. He is going to be in the claw draft coming up. So I'm excited to watch him wrestle again. He was one of my favorite Central Michigan guys to watch compete for years. So I texted him the other day. I'm pumped to watch him wrestle, and he's pretty excited too. So shout out to Matty Stencil. Good times.
Fire up chips.
5-time MAC champ.
There you go. He was a
Unheard of.
5-timer before we had a 5-timer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the truth. So yeah, quick weigh in. Shout out to all those guys. USA Wrestling do better. So let's move on to Vito versus Forrest. And last week, each one of us picked Vito Arujau. How crazy
I
is it?
rescind that pick.
Yeah, I mean, how crazy is it to pick a world champion, a multiple time, world medalist? Insane against a kid still in high school who could basically double up and wrestle in Fargo right now if he felt like it.
Now he's got to go to Budapest, though.
Now he gets to go to Budapest. I mean, PJ Duke was like, hell yeah, youngest kid on the senior world team. And Jax Forrest was like, not so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I would say hold my beer, but he's not. Hold my Capri Sun is
Yeah.
what happens there with those children. So yeah, I mean, 2 straight matches. Vito did not look himself in those matches. Specifically match 1, he looked exhausted, and maybe he's still not 100% on the injury side of things, but he looked absolutely exhausted and gassed. It didn't look like an injury type of thing, to me at least. Like, he gets taken down with 5 seconds left and just had to peel himself off the edge of the mat. And it was like, he's not 100% either in health when it comes to the injury, or he's not 100% in cardio and preparedness. It was very hard to tell which was which. But he didn't look good. He certainly didn't. I mean, he came out firing like we figured he would, because he does that in most of his matches. He's not a wait around and wait and see kind of a guy. And got the early takedown. The match was 3-2 until there was 5 seconds left. And that's where Jax Forrest was able to move his feet, score a go behind, and score the winning takedown. Kevin, what were your thoughts on the match?
I mean, it's just super impressive what you get from such a young kid in Jax. And I mean, we've seen him beat top level guys. We've seen him be right there. But man, I did not expect Vito to, with the delay, right, with the extra time, to show up and really just look not, like you said, prepared. Ultimately, though, I mean, at the end of the day, like, clearly Jax Forrest is our best representative is 61 kilograms, right? Like, we're going to have a stronger team with him on it than with Vito. So I'm excited. I mean, the team in general is great. Obviously, the future of the men's freestyle scene appears to be in pretty decent hands for the time being. And this is just year 1 of the quad, so I think it's going to be fun to see what the next couple of years do and how guys heal and come back, and what those next couple of years world trials are going to look like.
Yeah. And Jax looked bigger too. He certainly looks like he's put on some size and looked bigger. I would say, you talked about the quad, Kevin. I would say he's not going to be at 57 again like he was this past Olympics. He'll probably be at 65.
He's got a frame to put a lot of weight.
Broad shoulders.
Yeah, he does.
He's definitely got some space for it.
Yeah. So I mean, he looked good. He, match 2 came out firing, take down leg lace. It's 4-0 immediately. That was the other thing. It didn't seem like, and this is completely tangential to the match, it didn't seem like Flo had multiple cameras on that mat. Because every time something would happen, their camera was right behind where Jack's dad and his coaches were. And if they stood up, you couldn't see the match anymore. And it was like, change the camera angle. But they didn't change the camera angle at all in match 2, and maybe I missed it in match 1, or maybe it just didn't come into play or whatever else. Like I honestly had to go back and rewatch some different highlights and stuff because I was working on something else when the match started, but it was just like super weird. Like, why is there not multicam on mat 1? You would think that multicam would be set up on mat 1. Again, I feel like I have kind of a little bit of insight into what they've done in the past since I was part of it, and there was just like no multicam. So that was the weird part for me, at least when it came to like watching the match, is you missed some of the stuff because when action happened, those coaches stood up, and Zoe as well as Jack's dad stood up, and you were completely blind. You had no idea what was happening. All you could hear was the commentary. But Robbie, your thoughts on the match, or at least the series, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all came into last week when we made our picks saying, we don't know what we're going to see from Vito. What kind of shape is he in? Is he healthy? And I think we saw, we don't know if he's healthy or not, but he certainly wasn't in shape yet. When you have almost a full year layoff, that'll do it. My biggest takeaway was how poorly he defended on the edge, because he's usually so good and so disciplined on the edge and in the danger zone. And today, like the last takedown of the first match, and there's a couple of positions where normally you'd feel pretty comfortable with him getting back to the center and evading giving up any points. He lost those positions, and it just wasn't what we expected to see from him. Jax wrestled fantastic. I mean, he had a great strategy, did exactly what he needed to do. Feel very confident with him as our rep, and I think he's going to do great.
Yeah. Austin, your thoughts?
I think I saw Willie tweet something out about maybe the difference was just kind of mat time. And I think that was a little more obvious too with Jax, being in the freestyle scene quite a lot in the past calendar year and then some, right? And Vito not really being able to wrestle because he was injured. And then I think that obviously showed here, and it made kind of Vito look, I don't want to use the term old, but he looked
Human.
older than Jax. He was kind of trying to wrestle, I think, and maybe it was the conditioning injury factor too. It looked like he was kind of picking spots more instead of letting stuff come to him. I like it reminds me of when I was, helping out coaching as a, late 20s, early 30s in my older years against these college guys. You had to wrestle smarter, not harder, right? So I feel like that's kind of what Vito was maybe doing, and maybe that's all he was limited to doing too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder if he was 100%, right? Like we talked about, and I had said he looked exhausted, but like, again, was it injury or was it conditioning? And he kept trying to go back to that arm drag. And I mean, Vito was wisely wrestling in match 1 where Jax would fire off a shot, and then instead of Vito coming back up to his feet, he's waiting, right? And because he knew Jax wanted to fire off that reattack. So there was some really good things tactically from Vito in match 1. Things were just better tactically from Jax in match 1. And the mat time note was pretty spot on, right? Where we've seen Jax wrestle a good bit. We haven't seen Vito outside of that video that was posted. And he stayed away from Final X. Yanni was wrestling there. I'm pretty sure people expected to see him there, but he wasn't there. And so we didn't really know what to expect and like how he was going to be coming out. And that was the surprising part. Robbie, you nailed it with on the edge. He's usually able to move his feet and circle back in and be strong there. It just didn't look like Vito. He was definitely biding some time and trying to make sure that he kept it close to have the energy to score late if he needed to. And I'm sure Jax knew that going into match 2, which is why he came out and scored early and went up 4-0 and put Vito on the defensive. It was a completely against Vito's game plan because Vito wanted to hand fight more, and he spent more time in the hand fight in match 2 because he didn't have the energy to score. And when he did score, he scored late, but it just wasn't enough, right? And he ends up losing 7-2 and after losing 4-3 in the first match. Kevin, I saw you had something to say too.
Yeah, I have a new theory. I think that these high school kids just don't have any actual adult stressors in their life. They're just high school kids. So what they got to worry about going to prom and like what summer job they're gonna have? They don't have adult problems, weighing them down, just sitting on their chest. Yeah, that's I think what happened to Vito and Yanni.
I will say this: it's not a good look for Cornell to have both of their top guys lose to guys who are basically brand new on the senior scene. It made me think, would Vito and Yanni be the next guys to look to make a change with their training? I know that they're obviously tight with Gray and they've been there forever. And, I'd obviously hate to see that happen, right? But we've seen Kyle Dake leave Cornell, and ultimately he left because of his own reasons, but also he had David Taylor, who he worked out with a ton. But we've seen guys, move. We've seen Jordan Burroughs leave Nebraska and head to Penn, right? So like we've seen guys leave their home gyms and all the surroundings that they were used to head to new coaches and new partners and change things up. I wonder if that's a thought for Yanni and Vito right now. Maybe not Vito as much as Yanni, with Vito potentially being more of a health issue. But with Yanni, it could be, and speaking of health, Yanni posting that he got out of the hospital
the
other day was very random. It's like, whoa, hope he's okay, right? Like, hopefully nothing is wrong. But like,
tell him not to go to Wegmans.
Yeah, stay away from Wegmans. Apparently, there's bad stuff in Wegmans. Don't tell Scott Green I said that.
That post felt a little bit like when LeBron showed up to the press conference and his like hand was wrapped up and he was like, my hand's broken. And it's like, what? Why didn't anyone mention this in the first 6 games,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I was like, interesting, but yeah, no. One other quick point. I don't think it's necessarily an indictment on Cornell if they do choose to leave. I think we've seen a lot of times people leave various programs just to get a change of scenery, training partners, philosophies. I mean, that's, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I completely agree with that. My point was more so of you've been doing the same thing for, at this point, 10 years, right? Like, it's the same as Dake was doing the same thing for as long as he was. Same thing with Burroughs doing the same thing for as long as he was. So guys, they look for a change of scenery. They move around. I mean, same thing with Kyle Snyder, right? Like, these guys are moving around and going to different places to train. So if changing things up is on the horizon for these guys, I wouldn't be surprised after, and most guys start to look at changing things after results that they don't like. And again, that's
usually
not
earlier in the quad too.
Exactly. Right. Like, and again, that's not a shot at Cornell or Gray or anything else. I think they have a phenomenal program. I think they do really well with all their guys. Gray obviously does a very good job at, and this isn't a shot at protecting his guys and keeping them out of harm's way. We see that during the folk style season. So he takes very good care of his guys and makes sure that they aren't out there and putting themselves in harm's way. So he does a good job at that. But we've seen guys, like I said, leave and have a change of heart about their home gym and where they're based at and need some new coaching or anything else. So I would be surprised if we didn't see maybe a move happen with Yanni and Vito. I'd obviously, understand if they didn't, but it is something that, I feel like could be on the horizon for these guys. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Or they team up and coach the Binghamton Bearcats. Both New York legends taking over a program.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a tangent, but let's talk about that. I know we talked about that in our text group. Austin, you brought that up of like, does Binghamton kind of go that Oklahoma State route and bankroll one of these younger guys to be their coach, I mean, I don't think it's going to be Yanni or Vito, but like, would there be somebody like a Burrows that they want to go after, or like Dake, right, that they'd want to go after? Austin, you brought it up. So what are your thoughts on Binghamton doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it has, again, it's one of those things, how invested is the administration? I think they are pretty invested, but do they have the financial capital, I guess, is the better question that Oklahoma State does. You know, they have
Yeah,
$1 billion
definitely not.
bankroll. Binghamton, they have
They got Baldwin.
Yeah,
they got
Billy
the
Baldwin
Baldwins,
doesn't
Billy
have
Baldwin.
oil money.
Not
So
quite a billionaire. He's worth a few million, living
That
his life in
Paycom
Bali.
money is not rolling in for Binghamton.
Have you seen
Yeah.
Backdraft?
have you seen the movie that came out 32 years ago?
Great movie.
The
It's
Little
residuals,
Rich.
baby, residuals. Come on.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, I think they could do something like that. It wouldn't be a Jordan Burroughs, David Taylor kind of name, but I think they could get someone young and energetic in there and promise them this, promise them that. Here's a full staff you can have, and boom, you could run a while with a team like Binghamton. I think it could be a good start, but I think that's his job for a Kyle Dake. If he's interested in that, I think Kyle Dake might want something bigger. On that Iowa, Penn State kind of level, but giving back to his home state, like you mentioned before, with the Fargo coaches, starting there, something small, or building a sleeping giant out of a Binghamton, a small program, would be really cool to see.
Has Dake ever mentioned wanting to get into coaching? I don't feel like that's something he's spoken on too much.
I don't think so. I don't think he's.
There's rumors
I
every
don't
year
know.
to it, but
Yeah. I don't, not that I remember, right? I don't remember seeing or hearing Kyle talk about life after wrestling. Mostly because he continues to get younger every day.
It's
So
daycare. Daycare
yeah.
is his plan.
Yeah. I think it's Barney Romper Room, some Saturday morning cartoons as he continues.
Recess.
Yeah. Awesome cartoon, by the way. If you have Disney Plus, you can watch that, which we do. So there's that. But no, I would, I think something that we can get in maybe next show that we haven't spoken about yet is the rev share part of everything and the investments that are going to come from that, or lack of investments that are going to come from that, and what can happen there. And I think Binghamton is not in the mix of rev share, right? But we'll find out what kind of investment they want to make now that they have an open head coaching position. But let's get back on track. Little tangent. Now that we have all our world teams set, which team, as we look, men's freestyle, women's freestyle, Greco, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but which team do you guys feel most confident in going into Worlds? And Robbie, I'm going to start with you on that.
Yeah, I'd start with me. Trying to pull that list back up. Probably the women's team, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like we have a lot more vets, a lot more battle tested people because we have a really young men's freestyle team. And I mean, full transparency, we had to look up the Greco team because they were very quiet about their procedures this year and kind of did their own thing, and there wasn't a lot of noise made about it. So we had to go back and double check and make sure we were actually right on who was even on the world team this year. So I mean, there's always a couple Greco guys that we feel good about and think we have a good chance, but until we make a huge investment in it, we're not going to ever really be in the position to feel gung-ho about our Greco team.
Agreed. Kevin, your thoughts?
I was just thinking about, I don't even know who the coach of the Greco team is. Who is that? Is it Ken Chertow?
No, that's the Advocare team.
he's running camps.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just remember, I mean, they had the guy in there.
They had Lindland there for a long time.
Yeah, from Nebraska. And then he was gone. And then I was like, I don't know what happened. That was a long time ago. Anyway.
Herb
House. That's the head coach.
Mhm.
There we go. I mean, the women's team is probably the right answer. I'm excited about the men's team just because it is so young, right? We're still going to get Spencer Lee, on his war path to. I mean, he, probably still super pissed that he took second in the Olympics, right? Like, so he's going to be going out there looking to beat some people up, which is exciting. Zahid's finally on the team. I'm excited for that. Kyle Snyder better do something.
Watch what you say there.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's gonna be exciting. Wyatt Hendrickson obviously getting out there and doing his thing. That's gonna be fun. So I mean, yeah, the most confidence I have is probably in the women's team, and even there's still some young ladies on that team getting their first chance at it or crack at it too. So it'll be interesting in general to see what we get again in this first year of the quad.
I think you have to be really excited about the youth, though, because I mean, we talked about it on the men's side with Audrey Jimenez on the women's side. Like, we have a lot of really young first-time world team members that are poised to potentially make some big noise this year. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can handle the big spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm excited for the men's team. Just out of the 10 weights, there were 2, maybe 3 where we kind of had a pretty good idea who the rep was going to be, probably Spencer and Snyder. But outside of that, it wasn't a full given of who's going to be our guy at each weight. So I'm interested to see, if those guys are going to be the guys moving forward here, if they have good results in Budapest coming up here next week, and at the World Championships, obviously coming home with a medal would be a great deal, especially for some of these first time guys that haven't really seen that senior level exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's the only 2 guys that have been on a world team before are Zahid and Kyle Snyder. That's it. Obviously Spencer made the Olympic team and he's Olympic silver medalist, but he's never been on a world team. This is his first time. So the rest of the team, we now have Jax today that made the team, Real Woods first time, PJ Duke first time. I think the biggest shoes to fill is it's David Carr, mostly because of how well we've done at 74 as well as 79, but Jordan Burroughs really staked his claim to 74 early on. He moved up to 79 obviously as time went on, but 74 was on lock for a good bit. And then Kyle Dake stepped in there and also held it down, right? So I am excited to see the men's team, obviously, because of all these guys that have that are getting their first time at Worlds. But the women's team is nails, honestly. Like, even though Amit is not on the team, like even though it's Glaude that is there and not our Olympic champion, that's still a murderer's row from 65 to 76 for women's, right? Like, and then you take in 57 and 59 where Helen and Jakara are at, where we've got that veteran presence as well, right? So like there's some very highly touted youngsters that we have with Kennedy Blades as well as Kylie Welker, and then the vets with Jakara and Helen. But then you have that youth with with Audrey Jimenez and Felicity Taylor that are also on the team. On the Greco side of things, to echo what you guys have said, it's tough. I've been able to watch Kamal Bey since he was a young high school kid at OPRF. Had a chance to meet his dad, meet his family, be around him for a very long time. The fan in me wants to see him on the podium so badly because of having a close relationship with him. Same with Colton Schultz, right? I've known him as well as Colton and Kamal for a very, very long time. And the fan in me obviously wants to see Team USA Greco do really well. But when, we all have specific guys we get, closer with. And those 2 guys I've known for a very long time. And you have like the utmost confidence in them to go out and win medals, and they just haven't been able to do it. And it's like, man, when when are these guys going to be able to break through? And I'm hopeful that it's this year, because I feel like even though Colton Schultz just graduated from college and he's presumably still a young guy, he's been on this team so long that he is now a veteran on the Greco team, and we need these guys to start producing. I want to see more from our Greco team, as everybody else does, and I'm hopeful that they can. They also have, obviously, that element of vets and youngsters, right? Jaden Rainey at 55, as well as Ellis Coleman at 63, being the youngster and the vet. Um, so I think when it comes to our Greco side, I'm just hopeful, right? Like every single year, you're just like, can we get one guy on the podium? Can we get one guy? We've been in these medal matches. Can we get one guy that does it? So again, I'm hopeful that Kamal Bay, with everything that he's had to go through with the suspensions and stuff, can finally break through. Obviously, I obviously want to see every single one of these guys on the podium. From the freestyle side, tons of confidence in these guys, because we've seen every single one of them in the NCAA finals outside of our high schoolers. You know, each one of them is an NCAA finalist, if not champion. So it's like there's a lot of accolades here. And then they've all also done it on the world stage as well, just not on the senior level stage. So hopefully they can, you know, get the damn job done, to be completely honest, because they're up against it. There's a good amount of talent from around the world that's going to be coming. So we'll see how these guys can take up the mantle and do what they need to do. But I'm pretty excited about the men's team that we have, and you know, and then excited to see how these youngsters do. You know, Jax at 61 and PJ Duke at 70. Very excited to see how they do on the world stage, and as well as how PJ Duke does balancing all the tournaments. You know, if he does do all three, if he only does two, I don't remember seeing if he's going to do two of the three or whatever else, but it's an impressive feat. It certainly is. So we'll see what happens.
And his paper route.
And his paper route. Yeah. He's, you know, got to be home before the streetlights come on.
Mm-hmm.
At curfew, going to get you. Any other thoughts on our world team, men's freestyle, women's freestyle, Greco, confidence levels, and how you guys feel?
Just seems like you guys kind of hit it. It seems like a weird team without a Burrows, without a Dake, or without a David Taylor.
Yeah.
It almost seems foreign, like a different country's team is out there. It just seems weird without having those guys in there, which it's crazy how successful they were for such a long time, right? That they're finally over this hump, and it's like we got all these youth people in here. It's really fun to see, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks to that too, the youth.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see, because think about this, right? We went into the Olympics with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And then it didn't go great. I'm really interested to see what this group, how they perform, what they're able to do. I mean, I'm confident in the sense that, like, can all these guys do it? Have, you know, they won age group world championships and all these accolades before? Yeah. But it's funny because I feel like I'm going into this with less confidence than I went into the Olympics with, but also more kind of optimism that, like, shit, it could actually go really well though still. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let's move from looking at our Team USA, our world teamers, and move to this USA versus Russia match that, not for nothing, had zero traction up until I feel like the last 30 seconds ago, right? Like it was just like, hey, and the only reason why we knew about it was because of Seth Gross saying, sorry, I haven't been posting content. I've been at the OTC preparing for this, and then we're going to go and we're going to do a USA versus Russia match. And everybody's like, you're going to what? Like, where the hell did that come from? And
well, they hit on it like March, right before NCAA's, and then nothing came out of it.
And that was like the thing is, Kozak was saying it was released in March, but we haven't heard anything about it since then. And then everybody, you know, went Flow for not promoting, whatever. That's a conversation for a completely different year. But no one knew about it. So like even though it was announced in March, no one knew what the rosters were. No one knew that it was even happening. But I feel like if anyone did drop the ball on the marketing side of it, I hate to pile on, but again, it's USA Wrestling. Like
Yep.
we have our US guys going to other places in wrestling. I understand that Fargo is happening. I understand that we have, world team trials, things like that. But like after our team was set, the only other thing that we were waiting for was for 61 to be completed and Fargo. Things
So
could
now
have
we
been
have,
happening.
yeah, we have the ranking series beforehand, which is, why they're going to be in Budapest in the first place,
Yeah.
where the duel's going to be. And we don't even have the vast majority of our team wrestling there.
Who would benefit from ranking series
Yeah.
points?
So, I mean, we're sending guys to wrestle there that if they get points, it doesn't affect our team. I mean, it can, I guess, negatively affect other wrestlers and their seating, but it doesn't help us. Like we're sending Lilidol at 57, Seth Gross and Jax Forrest at 61, nobody at 65, Brandon Cannon at 70, David Carr at 74, Levi Haynes at 79. Who else we got? Valencia at 86, Trent Hidley at 92, Jay Aiello at 97, and Trent Hilger at 25, and Big Meech. So like great for them to get some experience, but what was that three guys from the world team?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. And then the guys that are wrestling in this Russia match, I mean, obviously none of them are going to be our world teamers, but like they deserve some hype and some pub, like up in, like we're just now finding out about it. And I get it. Like it's not a match that was put together by the USA. But USA Wrestling had to be involved to some degree in order for
get visas and stuff.
Yeah, in order for USA to even be represented there. Don't know if it's going to be free or pay-per-view, whatever it is. I will throw the links that are out there below for everyone that is listening and watching so that you guys can log on there and see the details of it. But it's going to be on pwlworld.tv. So that's who's putting it on July 21st, and it'll be on at 1 p.m. Eastern time is when this is going to be happening. So
Next Monday
is when it's going down. So like, yeah, I mean, make sure that you're kind of paying attention to it. But like, I think this is awesome. I hope that we have more things like this. My hope is that things like RAF and Claw and obviously RAF has the money to pull in foreign wrestlers as they're already pulling in Bajrang to wrestle Yanni, as that match was just announced. But like, man, like I wish that we would have known about it, or at least that it was promoted. But like, I guess it kind of is what it is. What do you guys make of? And maybe we should talk more about promotion of events and things like that. What do you guys make of the promotion of this of sports, right? Like of different sports and how it works. And then when you look at wrestling and you see how it works, you're like, well, what the hell? What do you guys make of that? Kevin, I'm going to come to you first because I know you pay attention to other sports and other things.
I do. It's funny. It just seems like, I think we just get in our own way, right? And I understand that there are contracts with certain things, and I understand that there's behind the scenes stuff that makes it tough to maybe promote something a certain way versus, your own stuff. I'm not blind to how, the money works and how all that functions. What I like about our system here, right, is that we can promote whatever we want, right? And like, it's funny because we're talking about, oh man, we could have, it would have been nice to promote this. I think we still got a week, it's going on at 1 p.m. in the afternoon on a Monday, so that'll be fun. Make
Pretty much the
Sean,
same as USA Wrestling timing, so it's not too
yeah,
much
right.
different.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was
Right,
literally
right when
like,
you have your Monday meeting is when this is going to be happening. That's literally the time that it's going on.
honestly, I wish it was during a Monday meeting. I literally watched Jakara Winchester win her world championship from a meeting at my old job on my phone under the table.
I got kicked out of a meeting when Burroughs lost in Rio because I yelled some obscenities
Oh,
during
yeah.
a meeting. It was like our back to school week. Yeah, that was not good.
Not
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah.
Wendell.
I'm gonna be watching. Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. But anyway, um, the real answer to the question, I mean, like, it's just we got to get out of each other's way, right? It's like you were talking about earlier about coaches, college coaches, and they're being at Fargo and helping out these teams. And of course, somebody has to say, "Oh, isn't this illegal recruiting?" It's like, God damn it! It's just giving back to the sport. At
Yeah.
some point, you have to just get rid of all the bullshit out there. I mean, is it going to still exist? Certainly. Is there some extent to where like helping out those kids is going to help them potentially with recruiting? Sure is. But at the end of the day, like it's got to be the real reason, right? And the real reason we got into this in the first place is because we love the sport and we want to, give back, right?
I did it for the money.
Yeah, right.
The multiple bags of money.
Right. They're all nickels. But no, I mean, ultimately, it's like it's just giving back to the sport, and there's going to be different areas where some outlets can provide more coverage than others, and I get it. I'm going to try to not be too upset about what they can do. I just like being able to talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about, and trying to promote it, and trying to do it for the right reasons, and I like to think that a lot of I like to think that a lot of the people in wrestling media feel that way too. And some people go about it in different ways, but ultimately, like, going back to this particular event, like, I'm excited for it. I feel like once there was actually like stuff being put out there about where and when it's going to take place. I mean, what was that, like 2 days ago?
Something like
And
that,
as
yeah.
soon as it came out, like, we were all talking about it, and now we're promoting it. So we're doing the right things here. And I talked about Claw earlier, and we've talked about real American freestyle, right? Like, I want to have one of those beers. I haven't had one of those beers yet. I don't even know if they have them in Michigan, but
I don't know if I trust a Hulk Hogan beer.
I trust it to do something weird. So we'll see what that is. But no, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm going to worry about what I can promote and provide, and just keep doing it from the goodness of my heart. And that's what I hope most of the other people do too.
Yeah. And if at any point we do get any of these real American beers, we'll drink them right here on the show.
Yeah.
For the people that are new to us, we did drink on our last show, so who's to say that we can't do it now? That was also whiskey too. But like, honestly, when it comes to promotion, and I'll dive a little bit into what I've been a part of. I know I've talked about it a couple of times tonight on the show, or today on the show, I should say. Promoting when I was at Flow was always different, right? And obviously I can't talk about all of it, but promoting different events is it was always different, right? And we'd have meetings and say, what are we going to discuss this week? What content do we have? What's coming out this week? What events do we want to hype? Obviously, this is that. Look at numbers, stuff like that too. And that's how you decide how you're going to promote certain things. That's how you decide how you're going to go about those promotions, right? Is you look at the analytics, you look at the entry list, you see what stars are there, you look at where you want to, devote your time, as you would with anything else. The thing that sucks in wrestling, and I think Willie really hit the nail on the head with his rant, is what we're seeing is a lot of people don't want to be involved unless they have there's some sort of benefit for them. And that's the part that sucks, because we are too small to have that mindset of, and like I said, Flow they do promote a lot of things. There are some things that they don't promote. I guess they couldn't promote this for whatever reasons. I'm not going to hold them accountable for anything. It's not their event, so it truly isn't their job to promote these things. However, in wrestling media, when you want the sport to grow and you want eyes on the sport no matter what, and to be completely honest, if you promote other events that have USA guys or girls in it, when you have an event on your own platform, all that does is elevate your own event and your platform. Because if you're creating stars when they're not on your platform, they will be even bigger stars when they are. And that is the mindset for me when I'm promoting anything, when I'm promoting this show or when I'm promoting any other show that I'm on or any other show that I have coming up down the line. I will make sure to promote the platform as we all do, right? Like, full transparency, I'm the one posting things for us on social media, and I will immediately switch to my own account and retweet it or repost it or whatever else. Anytime that any of you guys post anything, I'm making sure to repost it because we are a team and that's how that shit works. We want to make sure that everyone sees it, and it's not just so that, oh, it's a look at me thing. It's because we want our information, our content out there. That's how you should be marketing certain things. And it sucks in the sport because, as I said, and as Willie said in his rant, people only want to be involved when there is a benefit to them. And that's the part that sucks. And it goes back to my weigh in of USA Wrestling wanted to have their own bracketing software so that they were getting the brunt of the engagement and the brunt of people on their website. But it's like, if you're going to do that, make sure you're doing it right. So I'm hopeful that we see more promotion come in from some of these bigger networks. But like, people also have to realize that in wrestling, we're not even together as wrestling media. And Kevin alluded to it last week. We don't all get along in wrestling media, all for various reasons. We don't all get along. And that's the shitty part, because we can't bury the hatchet in certain aspects and be like, let's promote the sport instead of infighting and arguing and whatever else. Let's just promote the sport instead of being condescending and talking to people like we are the toughest men and women in the world on social media. It's just stupid. So at some point we have to get over that, as well as talking to fans like they're complete morons. Because even though somebody might have a shitty take, it's still his shitty take. It is what it is. Bring that person into the tent instead of trying to kick them out of it. So yeah, that's my rant when it comes to marketing. Austin, Robbie, any thoughts on marketing for wrestling events?
No,
Yeah, just don't be shitty people. Just
Yeah.
It's not that hard to do. I mean, we're all in it for the greater good of the sport. And this is something that I hit on that Scotty Sentes was talking about, is that wrestling media and content creators should get down to the NWCA conference. 90, probably 98 to 99% of us don't do this as a full-time job. This is 100% a side thing that we're doing because we love the sport and we want to, do it, see the sport from a different lens, give back to it, whatever the case is. I started doing this stuff when I stopped coaching because I wanted to stay in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a way to stay involved and give back to something that's clearly done a lot for each of us. But you could probably count on one hand, maybe two, how many people make their living solely off of being media for this sport. So it's important that we support each other and that we're able to, advocate for each other and put each other's content out and feel comfortable with that. There's people I don't get along with in the sport, and most of it doesn't have anything to do with media stuff, but it doesn't mean I can't speak positively about things that are going on from their company, or I can't, be supportive of the wrestlers that are being showcased in one of their events or anything like that. I mean, you can still support the wrestlers and still get the content out there and still, try to be a positive voice regardless of your feelings of other people in the media.
Yeah. And I don't want people to think that we're beating around the bush because we're speaking about one specific company. No, we're not just speaking about Flow. I'll be completely transparent and honest. I worked there for 7 years, not just talking about having good or bad relationships with people that I used to work with. There's people in the sport of wrestling who I don't get along with. There are a good amount of people outside of this circle of friends I have
Fucking
right
Earl
here
Smith.
that I that I get along with really well. I mean, Nick Costco, first round draft pick, love that dude.
I love Costco.
If I ever
Super
have
nice
the
guy.
chance to work with Costco, I'm jumping on that chance immediately because he's awesome. He knows his shit and he does a really good job. But yeah,
Dude's
there are
always positive too.
always a positive guy, and he knows his shit when it comes to just sports too, not just wrestling. But no, we're not, like I said, we're not beating around the bush because we're trying to not speak on good or bad relationships with people at Flow or people at any other organization. It's general because there are people within this wrestling bubble that we just don't get along with, and that people don't get along with in general. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, but a lot of people can't bury the hatchet and just be like, let's promote the sport. Everyone wants to point fingers and say this and say that when it comes to getting the attention. And I don't care. I want the sport to grow. You know,
It's a microcosm of society. I mean, and
Yeah.
in general, like I like most of the people in wrestling media. I don't want it to make it seem like there's this half of us that suck and half of us that are awesome, right?
No, it's the
But,
majority. Majority's great.
Yeah. But like anything, I mean, it's just a grouping of people, and this is just one different area. Regarding the NWCA thing too, like I am in recruiting. It would benefit me to be there. I can't. I have to I have to go to my actual job, and like I would love for that, like ideally to become a big thing and a networking thing that like the idea behind it I think is fantastic. The execution of it I think has been lackluster. So
If
I'm
one
very
of them wants
excited
to come
see-
watch my kids for a week, I'll go down there.
All right, yeah.
We'll
You
trade
know, I'm
off.
excited to see what Scotty can do there. I wanna try to be more involved as well.
He's already showing more than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So it's already on a good side for me. Austin, your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys were saying. Just another thing to throw out there. What is stopping all the major play, Flow, Intermat, even some of us and NWCA, like get all the media people together on Zoom calls every week, every other week. And, it's like, hey, we're a team here. Let's get this together. I know some of you guys are more involved than others, but let's get on the same page here. What do we want our sport to look like from the outside? How do we want to promote our sport better? What can we do to improve X, Y, and Z? I think get everyone together on a Zoom call, in person, whatever it is, and let's lay it all out there and say, hey, we need X, Y, and Z to be successful. USA Wrestling, here's what you can do. Flow, here's what you can do. Intermat, here's what you can do. And just I think honesty is going to go a long way in situations like this. Will it ever happen? Probably not, but it's worth a shot getting everyone together and putting differences aside and say, hey, we're a sport. We're obviously getting pushed aside by baseball and basketball, or football and basketball and NCAA level. Let's try and revert that and save the program a little bit, save the sport a little bit better.
The last thing I'll say is that too many people want to be the guy and the source, and it's just like there's room for that. When you realize that it's better to be accurate instead, and this is completely my journalism hat, and this is how I go about things. It's better to be accurate than it is to be quick and the first person to do it. The reason Adam Schefter is able to be accurate and the first person is because he literally works with the leagues that he's reporting on, right? Like these people are entrenched in these things. Like they are supposed to report them as well. In wrestling, there's a lot of cloak and dagger. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, and you gotta know this person and be having a relationship with this person. Like, there's so much that goes on, right? Like, there's a ton. But so many people are worried about being the guy and being the source and being this and being that, to the point where if we actually got general information, I feel like it would go back to everyone trying to be first. But when you do look at how other information comes out from other sports, when Adam Schefter puts something out or Dan Orlovsky or any of these guys on ESPN, it says per this person. They're not afraid to give credit to that person. But like literally I did the interview with, and again, I'm not looking for credit. This is just an example. I did the interview with Aaron Brooks where Aaron literally says he's going up to 97 and people talk about it on their shows and they don't even credit where that information came from. It's like, guys, like if that came from Flow, I'm going to credit that it came from you guys. You guys did the work, you deserve the credit. But like it's just funny how like we're so beholden to like being the guy. We don't want to give props to certain people unless we have good relationships and anything else. So that's the wild thing for me, and something that I could never wrap my brain around. Whether I was at Flow or Intermat or you know, just in my 15 years of being a journalist, it's just like people are always so hesitant to give credit where it's due a lot of the time, because they have an axe to grind. Anyway, let's move to next topic. Let's talk about this USA Wrestling suspension list. And I think it got traction because of Carter Starocci getting what was it, the Jesse Owens Male Athlete of the Year award, and it being posted to Twitter last week, and Bo Bartlett's wife quote tweeting and somebody responding with the list of suspensions. First and foremost, seeing this list of suspensions, and I honestly didn't realize that it was this public. I honestly forgot that it was this public. When you click on this list and you see everyone is on it for sexual misconduct, you're like, what the hell? First of all. Secondly, Carter being on this list, it's an interim membership suspension because there must be some sort of investigation going on. That's what I've gathered, right? Like there was an accusation, they're looking into things, you go on this list. That's the long and short of it. Doesn't mean he's guilty, doesn't mean he's not, means that right now this is what's happening and they have to check it out.
It's basically a probation until
Yes.
there's a finding of some sort, positive or negative.
Yes. I mean, when you guys, I mean, like I said, my first thought when I clicked on it, I was like, nope, that's gross. Robbie, your thoughts on this list and how the process kind of goes, because I feel like no one knew he was on this list. No one knew anyone was really on this list for the most part. Or that this list existed, because there's not like they put out anything for anyone to even know that it's even happening, right? What are your thoughts? I guess we're gonna continue this process talk of this suspension list. So thoughts on the list, as well as how we find out things in this sport. Again, we're going back to kind of, like I said, this process and marketing thing, but the fact that these things aren't more, I mean, it's readily available, but they're not saying, hey, this is what's happening in our sport. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's a few points with that. One, when you look up these lists, there is the list that Carter's on, which is the temporary suspensions. There is a active suspension list, and then a permanently banned list. If you look at the active suspension list and the permanently banned list, it will make you murderous for the number of people that are on there for sexual misconduct. And it's just a reminder that, you know, for all the maybe negative things that we hear about safe sport not doing enough, it does serve a purpose, and there is a genuine reason that we have it. It's also a reminder that there's a lot of shitty people out there and they shouldn't be around children. So fuck those guys. As far as Carter goes, it's kind of the same thing that we hit on before. I mean, this is something that really can't be publicized because it's just an accusation. But I mean, I guess it's no different than, you know, a court case that this person was arrested for this and they're going to court. They
Or the
haven't been
Brooks
found
thing, for
guilty yet.
that matter. They didn't
Yeah.
put anything out about the Brooks thing either.
I think, I mean, larger picture, it's our sport not wanting to do anything that casts itself in a bad light. And we don't put out things that are negative. We don't put out, you know, anything that's not a, this guy won a championship. Good job. Or this guy helped an old lady across the road. Congratulations. But I think it's important that we highlight these things because it's real. It's part of the sport. It's something that we need to deal with. And the more you know about these kind of things, the easier it is to deal with them. And that's part of the backlash about all this stuff that's come out about Penn State is that everything's been so hidden and nobody knows these things until, the floodgates are open and all these things come out. So, I mean, I'll speak for me. I've heard things for the last few years about a few different people in the program doing some not so savory things, Carter amongst them. And I can't speak on those because I don't have any proof that these things actually happen. It's just things that you hear. So until there's any substance behind it, it's hard to come out with any of those things, especially in a sport that's as small as wrestling, because we only have so much we can talk about. If we start throwing around accusations without any proof, it's not going to be a good day for us.
Agreed. Kevin?
I'm just, first thing I started looking up was like, there wasn't anyone else at Penn State that could have won that award. Like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Anybody in the Big Ten?
Big Ten.
Not
any male in the Big Ten.
Anyone else? Like, didn't they have like a good quarterback and that tight end was drafted pretty high? Like, give it to somebody. Anyway, that was one. Then when they posted it, they took like
Little tone
replies
deaf.
off.
Little tone deaf.
Just don't you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, and you're still doing it. You don't have to. You don't have
read
to
those quote
post
tweets.
any
They're
of that.
fantastic.
Oh my God. It's just that was stupid. Regarding the safe sports stuff, I mean, I don't know what the procedures are. It seems reasonable that if there's an investigation going on into it, that put them on the list for a temporary suspension. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's going to really have much of a result in the short term anyway. It's not like he's wrestling in any tournaments coming up or has anything big going on. He's clearly not part of the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, at the moment, and as far as I can tell, hasn't found a new home. So, as far as like what tangibly this, suspension does, it does nothing. It just is a part of their process that is, I think probably a good thing. So, I'm happy that it exists and that there's a list of people to be shamed and to watch out for. That's helpful. So, and whatever happens with Carter and whatever happens in the ensuing weeks, again, there are continued rumblings of additional news. But in the meantime, Penn State, pick somebody else. And I'm glad that there's processes to ideally keep people, aware of who to watch out for.
Yeah. Austin?
But here's the thing. How many people know about this list? If this list was made a little more public, a little more out there, would it change a lot of people's behaviors and say, oh, I don't want to be shunned by
It's kind of hiding in plain sight,
I
to
want
be
stay on this
honest.
list,
Yeah, it's not hard to find. I remember when I found it, I think I was just going on USA Wrestling to get certified or whatever. And then you're like,
we all have to do the
there's
safe
just a
sport
tab.
shit every year.
Yeah.
But how many of us have ever actually like dug into it and looked more deeply into it, unless you heard about an accusation or wanted to check on a coach that your kid's affiliated with, anything like that? Like, just looking at these lists, I know some of these names I've crossed paths with through coaching and things like that. So it's weird. It's weird.
I clicked on that list immediately as soon as I found it. And doesn't it say like where the people live too? Like,
It says their state. Their state.
Yeah.
The state they're affiliated with.
Yeah.
Where they're
But it has what their misconduct is. It has the misconduct type, and if you're looking at the permanently ineligible, they're all sexual misconduct, as well as the membership suspension right now. The permanently ineligible list is all sexual misconduct. There are the other one, the membership suspension list. It has literally everyone on it. So like Gilman is on it for USAW. Aaron Brooks is not on this list yet.
Kyle Snyder was on there for a week.
He was on there for a week.
How embarrassing would it be if like one of our names was just on that list right now? Like Austin, oh no!
As we're talking about it, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it sucks to see these things, and not for nothing. I mean, there's also like a earliest date of reinstatement for some people, and it's all there's 3 that are 2025. One of them is literally the end of this week. The others are all 2026, and then there's others that are on the interim member suspension. There's one that's on the interim that is suspended until 2029. So like this list, like I said, I feel like it's hiding in plain sight, to be completely honest. And even though I say like, why don't we get briefed on these things? I understand why, obviously. We don't want to publicize our bad news, but also with the Snyder thing, nothing was ever said from USA Wrestling.
Still hasn't been.
And still hasn't been, and I don't think there ever will be, honestly. So there's just like, yeah, like speak on it, right? Like, because when good things happen, USA Wrestling gets the credit, and our Team USA gets the credit, as they should, for sure, right? Governing body, it's Team USA. But when bad things happen, you should have to speak to these things as well. So like I said, I get it. I understand why these things aren't publicized the way that, we're talking about, but like, this is just like not good to see, to see it, right? Like you've known things about some people that are on this list, because they have been public, but like, you also, just to see this list, you're like, shit, this is just not good. So it is what it is. But that is the suspension list and what it means for Carter to be on it. He can obviously, I mean, as we saw with Kyle Snyder, you can be on it one day and then a week later you're off of it. So
Quick visit to that list too.
yeah, it's not, doesn't have to be a long time that you're on there. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, there's a investigation going on with what is going on. I guess what's been accused when it comes to Carter. So still future yet to be determined. Gentlemen, we've talked about, like, I think we've done a lot of ranting and talked about a lot of like shitty things. Let's end the conversation today on some fun stuff. And people have gotten into talking about singlets and stuff like that. So let's talk singlets, because some, they absolutely knock out the park, and I feel like it's a pertinent conversation for right now when Fargo's going on, because there are wild singlets that we see in Fargo. We're not going to talk about
ones.
We're not going to talk about Fargo
posted.
singlets. We won't do that. There are some that have been banned, I believe. My favorite singlet, I guess singlet swap that ever went on was when Braxton Amos went from Ohio to West Virginia all in one tournament and was literally traded. So that was fun when he was back in high school. But let's talk traditional singlets first. And I know that Claunch is like ready for this topic, because he said he can talk singlets all day. So I'm gonna start with Claunch. What are your favorite traditional singlets? And let me clarify, when I say traditional, it's not like Iowa, Penn State, like, the team's traditional singlet, their number one singlet that they wear. Which one, what are your favorites that you see from teams?
So I've got my list here. I might have done it a little differently, but I wanted to go through a couple honorable mentions first. I wanted to start the top 5 that I have on my list are all teams in their like active singlet choices, right? But I wanted to honorable mention. Remember those Edinburgh ones with Shop and Habit and
The kilt
Ford?
ones.
Those were badass singlets.
Yeah.
Those were awesome. And those 3 dudes were just out there killing people. That was fun. Obviously, there's the classic Oklahoma State finals and the Minnesota finals gold. Those are classics. Wyoming in general just has a great set of singlets. They've got the yellow ones, those brown ones with the mountain range on them are pretty
Prairie
sweet.
gold, not yellow.
Yes, yes. My apologies.
We've got
Um,
what are you? What is it? A Wyomingite? Is that what you guys are called?
Yeah, I think so. I
We
don't know. I've been in
had-
Virginia longer than anywhere else now, so
Virginian.
There you
I guess
go.
I'm a Virginian.
I like the Michigan ones with Kellen Russell where they had the stripes down the side. Those were badass for a while.
Those are the Adidas ones.
Yep, they were.
Lehigh had the same design. Those were fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, they were. And then
As
they
did
also
Blair
had,
Academy.
yes, they did. Yes, they did. Michigan also had some cool camo ones when they wrestled Campbell at that Army base. That was pretty sweet.
At Fort Bragg, yeah.
Yep,
They
yep.
still wear those, I'm pretty sure, right?
Every so often they
The-
bust them out. Yeah, when it's like military appreciation night or whatever, they'll bust those out, which is pretty sweet. But my regular list, I wanted to put Arizona State on there. I think I did this a little bit different because they just have so many options. They've got those cool black ones, they've got the yellow ones, they've got the maroon. They went with the old school ones that Zeke Jones used to wear. Lots of great options for Arizona State. Michigan State has some great options too. They've got a black one that has like green on the sides and like, I don't know, weird Spartan design things on them. Those look pretty sweet. Princeton's got a great set of singlets. They've got the white one, obviously, that Pat Glory came out in the NCAA finals and wore. They've got the black and the orange. I feel like they've got some other ones they throw out there every once in a while. American Sneaky has some badass singlets. They've got a nice couple different options that they have. They've got like an all white with some cool designs up at the top of the straps and the bands on the legs. And then number one in my heart and in my mind, Central Michigan University. It's no one else has singlets like that. They're just the only ones. You see the loop or whatever, and you know like that's a Central Michigan singlet. And if anyone tries to copy it, I'll kick him in the dick. So don't try to copy it. But yeah, that's Central Michigan number one.
There you go. Robbie, on to you.
Let me start by saying overall, as a conference, ACC hands down best singlet selection out of any conference. A lot of that has to do with the Nike contracts that a lot of these schools have, and that they've allowed a lot of flexibility and a lot of, allowed the programs to kind of run with it and do some creative things that a lot of other schools aren't allowed to do or haven't been given the freedom to do. So you have a lot of really cool options. So on the traditional side, I think Wyoming is one of my favorites with the arch letters, just a great look. The Oklahoma State solid orange, always great. I think what really sets those off is the warm-ups with the black warm-ups with the orange and white little V neck thing. Those are pretty sweet. And then I think three of the traditional singlets that I really like in the ACC, since Pitt did their rebranding and their change of color scheme a few years ago, their solid blue with the yellow Pitt is really, really cool. I love UNC's colors. So anything they do, I really like the use of the Argyle, but I like their white singlet that says Carolina across it. And the Virginia Tech has a maroon version and a black version of the block VT that's in the Hokie Stone. And if you've never had the chance to be on Virginia Tech's campus, it's gorgeous. And all the buildings are made out of this field stone from the area. So it's all these stone buildings, and they use it throughout their designs and all their school stuff. But it's the singlet that Mackay wore when he won the first title. It has it in the VT and then on the back. It's just a really sweet look.
Oh, Holmes, you're muted.
Yeah, I was
we
muted.
go.
Sorry. Austin, on to you.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't make a top 5 list. I just kind of made.
Damn
a
it,
general-
Austin.
And I'm not like I shouldn't say I'm not big on singlets. I just,
Not a singlet savant.
yeah, I don't take notes on which ones are really cool. I do have some notes though. I know we've talked about the UNC black ones they can't really wear anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone likes those. Those are pretty sweet. And me overall, I have I like when the singlets they're black, but black is not in the school colors. For instance, I think Robbie, you mentioned the black VT ones are pretty cool with like the brick on the back. I think Pitt has a black one as well.
They have it's the Steel City one. It has the
Yeah, with the
Panther on the
city
front.
skyline.
That's sweet.
That one's really cool. I know Maryland has, I don't know if it's a white or black one with the Terrapin, the Maryland flag in that. It's a
They
little
love
busy,
the
but
Maryland flag.
yeah, they do. There's one thing that I saw that they don't do too much of it. A lot of it could be overkill. Um, I know there was a cool throwback one I saw somewhere. Purdue had like the train on the front of it.
Yeah, the railroad
It was
tracks. Yeah.
pretty sweet. I think that was like from 10 years ago or whatever. But yeah, I know I probably giving lame answers here, but yeah, anything that has black in it where where black is not in the school colors. I know Iowa State has a black one, I think.
Yep.
Those kind of stick out to me, and just something different like that always gets noticed by me at least.
So for traditional singlets, Austin wants to go with anything that's not traditional for the school.
Yes,
Let it be noted.
not traditional.
I can't fault a man that always bets on black. Put it that way. So for me, at the top for me is always going to be the Oklahoma State singlet. That is top tier, number one for me. The other one for me is North Carolina's their powder blue singlet that they
Carolina
have.
blue.
The Carolina blue, yeah, my bad. But their Carolina blue singlet that they have, and it just says like North Carolina in like block across the front. And it's like traditional to the Michael Jordan basketball uniform.
It's one that O'Connor was wearing when he won his title.
Yes, that one absolutely sick. The other one that I like is and I'm not even sure if it's their traditional singlet, but it's another one that I like, and it is West Virginia's singlet with the Mountaineer on the back, and it might not even be like their traditional singlet, but I remember seeing this singlet with the Mountaineer on it, and I was like, that's a dope ass singlet, right? And I always thought that one was really cool, as well as Virginia Tech and how they have the Hokie Stone incorporated into their singlet. And then I was gonna throw NC State in here, but NC State has so many singlets that I love. When we had a trip to NC State once, they laid out all of their singlets for the year in their equipment room. They gave us like a tour of that and like showed us all their stuff. They have a bunch of dope singlets. But the other one that I really like is the one that Kekheisen wears all the time, or at least wore in the finals. And it's the purple UNI singlet, and it just has UNI with the Panther on it. For me, like that is like peak traditional. I love the UNI singlet. And I love that. I mean, they have like, and I actually had to like look up pictures, and I didn't realize how many different purple singlets they have.
It's like slight tweaks to the
there's-
font of UNI and
Yeah,
how it's written.
the font is changed on their singlets, but I love UNI's UNI singlet. I'll start the conversation with the alternates, and the top one is the one that Austin already talked about, the UNC black singlet. And I mentioned it, Robbie had responded to the tweet that basically started this entire conversation. Oh, and to go back, obviously, the Minnesota Gold will always be, one of the absolute traditional ones. I was actually kind of mad that Gable did not wear the Minnesota Gold this year. But the UNC black singlet that they wore, Clark, I think the year that Clark was in the finals, they wore it the first round of the NCAA tournament. And I had asked Coleman, because that was like the first time that they had worn it was the year before when O'Connor was in the finals the first time, and they wore it in the first round that year. And I was like, that is a dope ass singlet. And I asked Coleman, and he's like, yeah, we actually kind of had to like sneak it into the rotation because they wore it during a duel during the year, and administration was like, you guys got to take that off. Like they tried to get them to change like right then and there. And they were like, well, can we wear it the rest of the duel? Because if we change now, we'll lose team points. So they allowed him to wear it then. And I'm glad that Tony also chimed in, because when I responded, everybody was like, wait a second, they can't wear it. And I should have known Tony would be on top of it. Obviously I had the story, but like to get it from Tony and get even more details is good to know. But I mean, obviously the school is moving away from, or at least they were moving away from colors that aren't their traditional ones, which is why the black singlet had to be taken out of rotation. They're going to be able to wear it again this year. But the football team had black uniforms, but they slowly started to, if they wanted a darker color, start to move to that navy. The other, and I'm putting UNC back in here again. The other one that was really cool was when they wrestled Michigan on the baseball field,
That
and
was a sweet thing with
they
the
had the
pinstripes.
pinstripes in the singlet. Absolutely dope. It was cool to be on the field for that. Me and Fretwell flew in. I actually had to be in North Carolina for my old job, so I flew into North Carolina
It's the
into
first time I
Charlotte.
met you.
It is in person. Flew into Charlotte and drove to Chapel Hill for the day, and then had to drive back to Charlotte, which is only like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It wasn't a bad drive, but yeah, those were really awesome. The other alternate that I loved, and I don't think that Oklahoma State will bust this one out ever again, but it's their black singlet
Cowboy.
with the cowboy on the side that Perry wore. I think did Perry wear that in the semis? I don't think he wore it in the
Think so.
finals. I think he wore it in the semis, but that one was dope, as well as Oklahoma State's other singlet with Pistol Pete on the back of it, and it's the full wrestling Pistol Pete on the back of the singlet. That was really cool as well. Like I said, I want to throw NC State in here, but they have so many that like I just think they do a really good job. But the one that they did that I actually asked Trent about might have been last year, or I think it was in Kansas City, where they wore this singlet, and Trent was like, "I absolutely hate this singlet," and it was the one that they had like honeycombs on it,
Mhm.
and they wore it, I
I don't
think,
like
like
that one either.
first round or second round or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, new singlet," and he was like, "Yeah, I hate this thing," right? And I
They
was
had
like,
a lot
"Really?"
that year where there were like gradients, like it was
Yeah.
fading. Yeah, I don't like that look.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they get like a new singlet kind of every year. The other singlet that I don't like, I know we're talking about things we do, but the other thing that I don't like is Cornell's new singlet with like the
Oh,
white stripes down the side.
yeah,
Um,
that's dumb looking.
not a fan, not a fan. I will say that I do like their white singlet. I'm not normally a fan of white singlets, but Cornell's white singlet is a good alternate. As well as when Penn State wears their traditional colors, their official traditional colors of pink and black. I always think it's pretty cool that they do that, since they are such a traditional team and never change their singlet and rarely ever wear the white one. But when they wear that black and pink, I always think it's pretty cool. Kevin, what are your non-traditional singlets that you'd like?
I'm Austin. I'm glad you brought this up. The Maryland does have a great like rotation of singlets. I remember they haven't done this, I don't think, but originally they had like a because they have four colors there at Maryland technically, so it's like the black, red, white, and yellow. And they had this like two-piece like fight short combo thing that was yellow with like the big block Maryland M on the front. That was pretty cool looking. I'm
They
going with
used to
one.
have a yellow singlet like that back when McCoy was
Yeah,
there, and it had the Turt script. That
yeah,
was a sweet one.
Yeah.
that's a great singlet too. This one I'm pretty sure is off most people's board. Um, I'm going Kevin Jackson in the LSU singlet from back in the day, because Kevin Jackson in his singlet just looks great. So that's what another alternate one I'm going with.
I do want to throw one more alternate in here, and it is the NC State singlet that I really like, with the wolf on the side that Kevin Jack wore. I had to look it up. I'm like,
That's the one I
there's
posted with Hayden wearing it.
yeah, there's an NC State singlet in here that I knew was like at the top for me. But Robbie, go ahead, take it away. What are yours?
I got two more that I forgot to mention. I wanted to shout out Kent State when they had Nick Bedelian and Dustin Kilgore. They had some badass singlets back then.
It's
And
because nobody can say no to Dustin Kilgore because he's a
Yeah, it
frightening
also
man.
helped that Kilgore was an absolute monster.
that guy was such a super freak. It's crazy to me that Kent State has had like an NCAA champion more recently than like a lot of other big schools. Yeah, Kilgore was the man. So good for him.
What was your second one? You said there was two.
That was it. That was it. I lied.
He lied. Yeah, he lied. Robbie, take it away.
So some of my favorite alternates have already been listed, like the wolf logo with the wolf pack, the Iowa State black one that the David Carr wore. That one's a great looking singlet. The Purdue with the train tracks for they also, I like the one where they have like the highlighter color where they do the pinning down cancer, the one that you
Those are
wear every
cool.
year for that. That's a really good singlet. One that I think is underrated, but now is becoming overused is Mizzou's black one with the tiger stripes. And now they have like yellow versions. And I wish they would have just stuck with the black one, but I really like that one. And
Mizzou's
then
two-piece is actually pretty dope.
yeah,
Even though I'm not a two-piece singlet guy.
yeah, I'm not a fan of those either, but
Their two-piece is pretty dope.
the other one that I really liked this year was the new version of Nebraska's script Huskers singlet. Like they have it in black and in white, and it's just a great looking singlet. Now, if they can figure out a way to get a wrestling Herbie on the back of one, I'd be fully in support of that.
Yeah.
And that would help AJ with his double corn dance. Just saying.
Yeah, they need to figure that out. I don't know how much I like the Oklahoma State new singlet that they have. I think it's cool. I think it's got like the traditional Oklahoma State like V on the back and everything. I think it's pretty cool, but like I don't know, I miss the old just like regular orange that they used to have. Yeah. Austin, you already went with your non-traditional singlets. Do you had any more that were in mind?
Do you have any other black singlets you like, Austin?
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of black singlets, I mean, what's more iconic than Shane Griffith's all black
Yes, it's
singlet?
fantastic.
You know, it's like, yeah, super, obviously plain black, nothing to it, but the meaning behind it is pretty monumental, honestly. So that one just came up here in little quick searches I was doing, but I will give Robbie a shout out. I noticed Virginia, those orange ones they have are pretty cool. Maybe because I just like orange, but
Virginia's got some great singlets. Now, the
Yeah.
problem they have is that the school is so protective of the brand that they won't let them to be like flexible at all with it. It's like
Okay.
everything has to have the V sabers on it, which, you know, whatever, it's fine. But the one they came out last year with the alternate singlet they wore against Duke was like the gunmetal with orange trim, and it just said Who's, because that's their like one of their nickname is the Who's. And that was a sweet ass singlet. I wish they would
That's
wear
cool
that
singlet.
more. Yeah. That was a great singlet matchup because it was Duke with their Gothic font and like the chapel on the back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one too.
There's a lot of good singlets out there. A lot of teams. I mean, it's funny. Like Iowa never changes their singlet. Penn State never changes their singlet really, unless it's their, I don't even know what they call it, but when they wear their black and pink. Which I can remember when people were like, "What's this black and pink?" And it's like, can you imagine if Penn State's colors were still black and pink? That would be some shit. But no, a lot of really cool things. Nebraska does really good with their singlets as well. They have a ton of them. Between Nebraska and Arizona State, throwing names on the back. The only thing that I'm
not a fan of that.
it's and that's the thing is if it was like, you know, obviously with USA Wrestling singlets, that's different. But yeah, I'm surprised that Robbie didn't say that he's a fan of Trumbull's baggy warm-up singlet.
His warm-up singlets are awesome, and he told me he's got some new ones. I was gonna mention their polos as part of their uniforms.
Yeah.
I was talking to Pat this weekend, and he sent me a picture. It was him and Vinny and Ryan Jack, and Vinny was wearing a polo. So I said, I guess he's ready to go live next. Is that what's happening? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of good singlets out there. I like ending the show on a fun note as well, by the way.
Oregon State has some great ones. They should be mentioned.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna mention them too. Like
Like
the
the
beaver on the
trees.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one with the tree line too.
Yeah.
Cal Poly's white ones with the gold lettering, those are pretty sweet too.
I don't know can't remember what those look like. I have to look that one up.
Just
Yeah.
close your eyes and picture Bernie Truax, and you'll see it.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll certainly do it. That's singlet talk. I think we're good to end the show with a little bit of nonsense singlet talk, but the topic came up. Robbie, you kind of pushed it even further, and I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of a fun thing. I think next week we'll end on another fun note that Kevin brought up of top 5 coaches we would love to have a beer with. That'll be kind of how we end the show here in the off season, just on a fun note. Till the season comes around, we'll do some fun stuff, and maybe we'll even drink on next week's show for that theme too, because we can do that. But throw your favorite singlets into the comments if there's singlets out there that we didn't mention, singlets we did and you think were really bad. Let us know for sure. But on any other topic, we love to hear you guys' feedback. Even though last week some guy said I was talking too much again, yeah, it's gonna happen. There's a balance between getting my opinions out there and navigating through, people on the show. But when I responded, he did respond with saying that he did like the show. I just talked a little too much last week, which, like I said, it's gonna happen sometimes. It is what it is. But as always, we enjoy you guys listening, watching on all the different platforms. Shout out to our sponsors, Poseidon Strength, Adidas Wrestling. All the discount codes are also below, as well as our names in case you forget who's talking. Or if you want to follow us, you can do that as well. Make sure you're subscribing, liking the channel, all those fun YouTube things, because we're going to have a lot more content coming. And the more you subscribe, the more content we can do. But again, always appreciate you guys listening and watching the Quad Pod. And we'll see you again next week. Peace.